Hey guys, we're live, part of the Tap Into Your Genius series, and my guest today is Judy Hoberman. Our focus today is vision and purpose, and I think that geniuses have a great track on this, and that is they are engaged, they have a purpose and a vision for their lives. And I think that's one of the reasons why that is what empowers them to get past all the hurdles and problems that they'll deal with in life. And so, Judy, welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Judy is a consultant through corporations throughout the country, and her passion and purpose is to empower women in the workplace, but also what men's role, who are their advocates, who care about them, who want to see them succeed, how to help them help women as well. So, hello, Judy.
Hello, how are you? I'm excited to be here actually, and I love all the energy in here. So
fantastic. Yeah, I have a lot of energy, and so does this building. We're at Common Desks. It's a co-working facility, and lots of entrepreneurs here with lots of great ideas. And so Judy talks everywhere and is a great consultant. So Judy, since our focus today is vision and passion, I want to ask you this question. Oh, I want to read what you say your passion is here on your LinkedIn account. So here we go. I'm reading from it. This is Judy's words. My passion is to provide women everywhere the tools they need to be successful in their careers, provide for their families, and have time to do what they truly desire. I love being a mentor and an advocate for women in the workplace to show them anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
Awesome. Well, I want to ask you this. What happened the day, or what was the day that you conceived your focus, your purpose, your vision for your business? How did that happen?
So it actually happened when I was much younger, because my father kept saying to me, girls don't do this, and girls don't do that, and girls shouldn't do this, and girls better do that, and all these other things. And so as much as he told me that, I may not have done anything that moment, but when I decided to start my company, I kept thinking, well, why don't girls do this, and why don't girls do that? And that was my focus. So it goes back, decades and decades and decades, but every single day I come into girls do this, and girls can do this, and anything is possible.
Okay. So I think a lot of people in our audience are entrepreneurs, of course people from all over, and so from a business perspective, you really created a niche for yourself. And how did you develop that? How did that vision happen that it became your focus in your consulting and your business?
Let's say that I've made every mistake you could possibly make as an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Every mistake. Every mistake. Just because I'm a solopreneur doesn't mean, and solo just means it's me, myself, and I. Just because it's that doesn't mean I don't need a business plan. It doesn't mean that I don't need my own personal board of directors. And I did none of that. All I kept thinking was, I know what I want to do, I know who I want to do it with, and I know how I'm going to do it. And it was my biggest mistake. So what I had to start doing was I got myself an amazing business coach. And in fact, I said to her last night that at least 3 times a week I talk about her. And that goes back, that was in 2009 that I got a business coach. And I still talk about her every day or every other day. And I got a business coach, and she really forced me to create a vision, and she forced me to become focused. And because one of the things that women tend to do is we want to help everyone. We don't want to leave anybody out. We want to
nurturing nature that most women have.
Right, but the problem is you can't help everyone. Nothing that you have everybody needs, including water or oxygen. No, not everybody needs that, depending on the water that you have.
From what planet am I from? I need water and oxygen.
There are people that can't have water. There are people that have, artificial oxygen.
Oh,
wow.
Okay.
So you can't help everybody. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
So I had to be very focused and create a vision of who I wanted to do, what I wanted to do, and create the vision and the mission. And so you just read what my passion is. I really, truly want to make sure that women have the same opportunities that men have. And I want to make sure that men understand that we want them to champion women. So we work hand in hand. I always talk about differences. I don't talk about better or worse or right or wrong. I want people to understand that differences become assets, not liabilities. And my tagline is women want to be treated equally, not identically. And so all we want is the same opportunities.
Well, let me bring the camera just a little bit closer. I apologize to our viewers, but
even closer.
I want to do that. And also, get our microphone just a little bit closer. Anyway, so you talked about differences being an advantage. So that's piqued my interest. So there's differences within all different types of people, whether what culture, what background they come from, but also men and women.
Absolutely.
So how do you use differences to the advantage of those in the workplace?
Well, generally speaking, and I can't say this about everybody, but generally speaking, men are much more transactional and women are much more relational. Men do that's get in, get out, and get the check, and then they create the relationship. Women build the relationship first, and then they'll do the business. Well, sometimes you need to be more transactional, and sometimes you need to be more relational. So those are differences right then and there. Also, the way we communicate. Men want the bottom line. They want the bullet points. They want to know the facts and figures, the features and benefits. Women want the story. Sometimes we can't move ourselves forward if we don't have the story.
Thank you, Kelly. Yeah.
So that, that's what I'm saying. So those differences can be a tremendous asset to people. The same thing. Have you ever gotten an email and you open it up and it's like a dissertation? What's the first thing you do? You shut it down. I'm not reading. I don't have time. So you have to be able to say, okay, so here's what I would do as a man. I would do 3 bullet points. And when somebody wants something, they'll say, tell me about number 2. Well, as a woman, if I was talking to somebody and they said, yeah, I need more than bullet points, I can say to you, Jeff, you need to tell more of a story, get them involved. So we can work together. It's all collaboration and relationships.
So you're saying that in the workplace or otherwise that it is good to keep that in mind when you're talking to a woman versus a man and cater it to the audience you're talking to?
Yeah, you should always take your lead from the person that you're speaking to. If I asked you a question and you said, yep, and then nope, and then yep, then I know you want to go to the bottom line.
Yep.
If I, right.
All right. Okay. It was too easy. It was too easy.
I set that up and boom, right out the park.
Okay. Yeah.
But if I asked you a question.
That's a male metaphor. Okay, awesome.
Yeah. But if I asked you a question and you gave me the story of how it came around, then I'm going to think, okay, so he wants to create a relationship. Let's start doing it that way. And it goes back and forth.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you this. You were talking about also this interests me because when we talk about women in the workplace, I always think about like their role, also a desire to be a mother and taking care of their kids, their husband, and things like that. So how do you help women in the workplace in dealing with that area of life?
So here's the biggest myth that you have to bust right now. There is no such thing as work-life balance.
Okay.
Okay? It's harmony. Wherever you are, you should have harmony. You should be present. And many of us, probably most of us, feel very guilty when we're at home and we're thinking about work, or we're at work and we're thinking about home.
I think it's a struggle for both.
Right, men and
genders.
female. Yes. So what I always tell women is, we do have 2 full-time jobs. We have a job, whether you're an entrepreneur or you work for corporate America, you have a job. And then you come home and you have another job. But you have to be able to be okay to set your boundaries and say, I'm home now, I'm going to take care of my family. You can always, do something when the kids go to sleep or whatever. But I always say you have to be present where you are because that will give you so much more harmony and you'll feel like you're accomplishing things. But if you really have to make sure that you have this ability to take care of your family and take care of this, find a position where you are, like I did insurance for decades. And for me, that was the closest thing I've ever come to being able to do what I needed to do because I was 100% commission. So I made my own schedule. My calendar was mine. I went to every one of my son's soccer game. I went to every one of my daughter's field hockey games. Never missed a game because I could do that. So you just have to decide what's more important to you. If you want to be the #1 salesperson in the world and you want to be the best mother, there's going to be some clashing going on. So you have to decide what's your priority.
Okay. Let me ask you this and get a little bit back more to vision and purpose. You talked about taking on a business coach and mentor and how much that helped you to develop the vision for your company. Can you talk about the importance of that relationship, perhaps how you were able to develop with that coach that vision and purpose that really is your focus now in your business?
I have to tell you, there are more mistakes there. So,
that's fine.
So originally, you know how you get these emails from people and you just, like, who is this and what is this? So I had gotten this email from this woman, and for some reason I read it, and it was about a weekend retreat. And I was living in Charlotte, and my sister-in-law was in Virginia. And I said, this is in Maryland, so why don't we both meet there? If it's good, we'll go. If it's not good, we'll just hang out for the weekend. So we went. And I am telling you that this woman that was speaking directly to me, and it was called Get Radical. And you know, I am a child of the 70s, and so I thought, well, Get Radical, this is pretty cool. Well, she was talking directly to me. It was so radical for me that when I went back to my position on Monday, I gave in my resignation.
Wow.
Okay, and so
That's quite a
it was very radical.
significant decision.
Yes. Well, I wasn't happy anyway, and I was physically, you know, it was the culture, it was everything about it, and it was the very first time I had ever been an employee. So it was all these mixed things going on.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I give my resignation, they don't take it for a while, and I told them that if they don't take it by this certain date, that I'm leaving anyway. And
Sounds
so
good.
that date came, and they finally let me go. And I called her, and I said, I need to meet with you. She was also a coach and a speaker. I said, I need to meet with you. And she was in Maryland. I flew to Maryland. Okay, and
All right.
and I didn't have, you know, it wasn't like I had all this disposable income that I could do,
Right.
but it didn't matter. And when we sat down in this room, it was a very large room, and it was whiteboards all the way around. And anybody that knows me personally knows that whiteboards make me sweat because I just they bring up like I don't like that. I like to do. I don't like to strategize.
Okay.
Anyway, so she's putting these things on. The first thing she asked me is, where do you want to end up when you're retired? And I said, oh, I think I'd like to have a bar on a beach and everybody knows me and it's really upscale. She goes, well, how are you going to get there? And I said, I don't know, plane. She said, no, how are you going to get there? I said, boat? She said, no, you have to plan for it. And that's where the strategy came in. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we built this, and she said, well, what do you want to do? And I told her about women and how I wanted to do this. And she helped me design this business on the whiteboards. And then she said, okay, so we'll meet every other week, and you know, over the phone, because she was Maryland and now I was in Texas. And every other week I'd listen to what she said, and every other week I wouldn't do what she said because I do better.
That's good use of your coach. Okay.
Right. So one day she said to me, you're going to write a book. I said, I'm not writing a book. It's not on my radar. Don't want to do it. And she said, you have 30 years of experience in sales and leadership. You need to do this. I'm like, not doing it. She said, okay, don't write the book. Just do the outline. And I probably said, I never actually said yes. I said, And so the next time we got on the phone together, she said to me, after we finished our session, she said, okay, read it to me. And I said, read what? And she said, I want you to read your outline. And I went, oh. She said, you didn't do it, did you? And I said, no. And she said, okay, how long have you been in Dallas? And I said, 2 years. She said, do you know the busiest intersection? I said, I can find it. She said, all right, here's what you have to do. And you have to listen. I'm like, okay. She said, get in your car, drive to that intersection, stop your car, roll down your window, take all the money out of your wallet and throw it out the window, close up your window and drive home. And I said, you are crazy. And she said, that's what you do with me every other week.
Wow.
Okay, so there was my big aha moment. And guess who wrote a book? And wrote 3 others after that.
Judy did?
I did! And 3
Judy?
others.
Really?
Yeah, because she made me realize that I don't know everything. You can't know everything, and you can't do business by yourself. You have to have other people that support you. It was the most eye-opening thing that had ever been said or done to me.
Really?
So, yeah.
So I understand the money analogy, but it seemed like there was a connection then on terms of support and, and having a community of people that help you to achieve your success. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Is that what the epiphany or
that was,
the
because,
lesson was?
Yeah, it's like, you know, when you hear the term, it takes a village. It does take a village. You can't do, when I started, I knew nothing about social media. Zero.
Right.
And so my son's friend helped me with social media. When I first started, I had a business card. I had no website. I had nothing. And a woman that I met at a networking event said to me, I'd love for you to speak. Where are you speaking next? And so on and so forth. Do you have a website? I'm like, under construction. She said, do you have a brochure? And I said, do you want one physical? Do you want one electronic? She goes, I'd love to have a physical one. I'd love to hold things. I'm like, okay, great. And then I knew I had a few extra days. So I go home, I call my son, and I said, the cobbler's kids have no shoes. The website's mom has no website. And I start to cry. He said, okay, listen to what you're saying. You know, stop. Someone wants you to speak. There's the beginning of your business. And so I called my business coach. She said, all right, let's all get together. Let's put together a brochure, which we did. I sent it to this woman, and that's how it all started.
Right.
But I had to listen that there are other people that have the strengths that you don't have or don't want to have, and listen to them. And the strengths that you have, you can, collaborate. And that it was, I'm telling you, that's really how it works. Today, I collaborate with a lot of people because I'll say, well, don't ask me about technology. I'm going to call you, or whatever. Or if somebody says to me, I want you to coach me, and they're not my person, I'm going to call one of my other coaches and say, can you coach this person?
Okay.
So it works like that.
Well, let me ask you this, and this is a problem I think a lot of entrepreneurs have, or beginning entrepreneurs, or anyway, and also even with myself. I'm looking about how can I build a team, and where perhaps the only thing I can afford right now are freelancers to achieve my goals and my ends. Any thoughts on those types of entrepreneurs, how they can put together a collaborative team or people that you're talking about and help them to reach the next level or even higher?
So the best way to do it is to figure out, number one, who that person is, not their name, not that person, but who they are. Are they a marketing person? Are they a salesperson? Who are they? And figure out what you need in your team. So for me, I was in sales. I'm a great salesperson. I'm a great implementer. I'm terrible at technology. My marketing is okay. So I knew what I needed, but I also knew that I couldn't afford to hire people. Right? So I would go and I would offer to do things for people. I would say, let me help you with your sales, or can I mentor you, or whatever it was. And I would offer things that didn't cost me anything except my time, which was very valuable. So don't
overdo it?
Well, not even don't overdo, but don't think that you giving away your time is nothing, because it is.
Okay,
Right? So you can't just say, I'll mentor everyone, or I'll do everything. You can't. Right? So you have to decide what the person is first and how they're going to fit into your circle. Because you have to be able to pick up the phone and say, I need help. And it doesn't matter what level you are, because a lot of times you still don't want to pay somebody, tens of thousands of dollars, and so you barter. And you say, I'll do this if you do this, and I'll help you write your book, or I'll help you do articles, and if you'll do this for me. And if the person says no, they're not your person. That's plain and simple. They're not your person. And if they say yes, just make sure it is the right person that you're looking for, because you'll outgrow people. You'll find you need other people. I mean, I outgrew lots of people, and then I'm still not up to certain people. So it's always,
How do you know who is the right person? Because let's say a problem I had this week. I'm working with a web developer who is helping me to build the Tap Into Your Genius membership site and course. And so he was doing a great job. And all of a sudden he started to act a little odd. What's going on? And so then last night he says he got a job and he can't help me anymore. And so, everything was going great until that point in time. And so how do I find, dependable people, people who are hard workers, who go above and beyond? How do I build a team of those freelancers that I can depend on? And also, so I'm not, now I'm having to look for somebody else. Perhaps I have 3 people that I go to within each space. I don't know. How do you find the right person for you that you can depend on and get things done?
You have to ask people for referrals. The same way that you want somebody to give you a referral for business, you have to ask for referrals. And you have to say this is how I always say to people, pretend I'm your sister.
Okay.
Who would you recommend? When I used to say to my gynecologist, I would say to him, who's going to do your wife's surgery? Because that's who I want.
Okay.
I would say to my dentist, or get your hair cut. Who cuts your hair? Because that's who I want.
Right.
And so you find the people that actually you ask for referrals. And don't think just because somebody is super sweet or super nice or whatever that they're also the right person, because that doesn't happen either. And by the way, web developers, you have to understand one thing, because I got totally screwed, blue, and
kind of bad, bad situation.
Bad.
Yeah.
And all I remember, and this is what I taught myself, that when they say it's going to be tomorrow, it just means it's not today. It doesn't necessarily mean tomorrow. But at some point, there is another tomorrow. And so you get really frustrated. So I have really great web people now. I know I have people that, it took me a while to find the right people.
How did you find them?
From referrals.
Okay.
And seriously, I ask people all the time, who do you use for this? Who do you use for that? And when they ask me something, like I always tell people, go through my LinkedIn. If there's somebody that you want to meet, let me know and I'll do a warm introduction. If I say no to you, there's a reason. And so one person said, well, I want this person. I'm like, no. In fact, I'm not even sure why they're still on my LinkedIn.
Okay.
And he said, no, but I want to meet them. I said, it's not going to be through me.
I see. So do you find the LinkedIn to being a good tool in helping to find these referrals that you're talking
absolutely. Well, again, it depends on your people. If your people are Facebook people, then you need to go on Facebook and ask your people who they know. If your people are LinkedIn people, then you go onto LinkedIn and you say, who do you know? So it really depends on who your person is.
I really like LinkedIn, and I also find when I post these interviews and other social media that I'm doing, it's a great audience, people who are, who are more business-oriented, entrepreneurs, and a lot of great people.
Yeah.
And I actually met you sort of that way.
Right.
Actually, we did.
We did. That's how we met.
Through Angel, but I saw all these posts about Judy, like amazing author, coach, and speaker. Available. Just go to sellinginnaskirt.com or walkingontheclassfloor.com. Anyway, no, there were a lot of good posts, and so we connected that way. But a lot of great people. So I'm going to take advantage of what you're saying. Let me ask you this, just kind of going through my situation. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just going to Upwork and say some other types of freelancer sites.
Yep.
And then I can kind of like pick the best that I want that way as well.
Yep.
So what do you think about that process versus, say, just getting referrals from connections?
Well, there's nothing better than a connection from somebody that you know, like, and trust. There's nothing better than that.
Why?
Because they already know, like, and trust them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the best connection you can get, the best referral you can get. However, there are many times where you can't find that person. That Upworks is good. I've done a lot of things on Fiverr.
Yeah.
I needed a logo quickly, and so I went out there and I looked. And again, you have to decide how you're going to look. I looked at everybody that had 5 stars. I had, the ones that were the most popular. And then you have to also see, well, the ones most popular, they take 4 weeks instead of 2. Is that okay with you? Things like 99 Design. There's all these different ways because everything, there's an app for that, and there's an app for this, and that's great. I still believe in the human connection. So to me, there's nothing better than actually getting somebody to say, you need to call this person.
Right.
I understand. Let me ask you this, and this is going back a little bit to what you were talking about earlier. You were talking about the differences in men and women and their way they communicate, and that women are more relational.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to ask you from a marketing perspective, and then all the things you're talking about here are about trust,
right?
Are about relationships.
Right.
And to me, that's something that's inherent in all humans. I think that we're building trust with those online and those who know us, who follow us, by providing value, a valuable topic and energy to talk about, and over time that trust begins to grow. So what is the difference then between, say, doesn't that apply to all humans? Do you have to have that trust factor, that relationship factor before they're willing to work with you, do things with you?
Yes and no. A good portion of the population are relational people. There is a portion of the population that just wants to get the job done. They could care less about who you are, what you do. If you show up, that's great, and that's the end of it. And that's the hard part. You think about people, I always tell people you have to be the expert in your space. So if you're the expert in social media, then a lot of people are going to travel to you and say, hey, Jeff, I heard you're the expert in social media. I want to ask you this or that and the other thing. You think about, you think about the Apple Store. You have a Genius Bar. Okay, the Genius Bar. What is better than being known as the genius? The same thing that we call him the expert. If I have to go into the Apple Store, I am 100% confident that any one of those geniuses can answer my question. Right? It's the same thing. I want to be known as an expert. I do a lot of business, a lot of speaking for Fox Business News, and they labeled me the gender expert. Okay. What's the gender expert? I know a lot about women. Okay. But I'm the expert, and I tell everyone I'm the gender expert. Okay. I'm an expert in women, in professional women, how to empower professional women. I'm the expert. It's the same thing. If you go into, like, I do a lot of training for financial companies and real estate companies, and when everybody's in the room, they all think they're competitors until you go around the room and I say, so what are you the expert in? And this one will be for veterans, and this one will be for single moms, and this one will be for $1 million homes, whatever. And then you can actually see that everybody's an expert in something. So you have to decide what it is, and you have to own the title. I am the expert in, and you have to say it out loud and look in the mirror and go, I am the expert in. Because once you own it, then people will say, oh, if you hear anything about women, you need to go to Judy Hoberman because she's the expert.
Yeah. I've taken a course, an online course about creating a membership site, and that's what I'm doing here and launching the beta on September 1st, and it's about tapping into your genius, the genius part of your brain. And the guy who actually put the course together, who's helped thousands of people be successful with membership sites, and he kind of resisted that and resisted it. But he became known as the membership site guy expert, and he embraced it, and then invariably those kind of conversations happen. It's like, man, I'm having a problem getting more people on my membership site. I want to start a membership site. What do? Go to this guy. His name is Stu McLaren, a good guy. He's up in Canada. And so invariably that's what was happening. He claimed the title, he took it, and people began to follow to him. Let me ask you this, on your path in gaining more vision and purpose in your life and in your business, can you say a little bit about how that evolved and how people maybe, what I find is that when you have a vision and you have a purpose, then the right people begin to come into your life to help make that vision happen. And what I also find is if you don't happen, that doesn't happen. And even if the right person comes, you don't even know it's them. And so when I'm, say, networking, or when I'm just meeting people online or whatever it is, I begin to recognize immediately there's a possibility here. And I find, of course, synergies happening, like wonderful things happening and wonderful people coming into my life. Can you say like what happened with you in your path and perhaps about that concept itself?
Okay, so here's another mistake. My second book is all about mistakes, just so you know. Yeah,
Okay.
every mistake I made, I kept thinking, well, there's another one. So I am a sales trainer. I mean, I train people how to do sales, but not necessarily the product end of it, more about the soft skill process of it.
Yeah.
And so, so when I resigned from my position, the first thing I knew I had to do was I had to network, because that's the first thing I teach people how to do is prospect and network. So I go to this very large networking event. There's, 250 people sitting there. And I did not want to do this. No matter what I told everybody, all my clients, I did not want to do this. So I walked in and I saw the table all the way at the end. There was a man sitting there all by himself, and I sat down. For an hour and a half, neither one of us said a word. We did not exchange cards. And after an hour and a half, I got in my car and I went, well, I just networked. And I thought, well, that hour and a half I will never get back.
Wow.
Right? So then I said to myself,
I call it a mistake.
You think it's I'm just calling it a do-over.
Oh, do-over.
Yeah.
All right, I like it.
Yeah. So what I had to do was I had to think about being intentional. That's what it's all about. You have to be intentional. You have to be intentional about where you go. You have to be intentional about how you show up. You have to be intentional about who you're going to be surrounding yourself with. You have to be intentional about knowing what you're trying to do. And you have to be intentional about asking for help. Another thing women don't want to do is ask for help. So after that,
really? I thought it was more the men don't want to ask for help.
No, because men just do it. Women don't want to ask for help because it makes them feel like either they don't know what they're talking about, or they feel weak, or someone else is going to go, oh my God, she doesn't know.
But why
anything.
worry? Why not just ask and then learn? And
It's just part of our DNA. Once you learn how to ask for help, then you ask for help. I ask for help all the time. I could care less now.
Judy, please help me.
Yeah, just like, can you help me do this? Can you help me do that?
Yeah.
But anyway, so once I became intentional about what I wanted to do, speaking engagements came, then training came,
Awesome.
coaching clients came.
Yeah.
And then once I started really honing in about doing women in leadership, it's a whole different ballgame. People are saying, do you know this person? Have you been to this company? All of these things. And that's really what happens.
Right. Oh, I want to say hi to Joshua, Tracy, Patty, Alan, Martha, Callie, Mike, Todd. Thank you for watching.
Yay! Thank you.
Joshua is a entrepreneur here in Dallas. So I'm sure that a lot of people coming in today and watching this on replay can gain a whole lot from it. In terms of, say, networking, I'll say what my experience is. Because I'm much more clear on my vision, I am meeting wonderful people who are helping me to help my dreams and my goals to come true. And a process that I use when I go to networking is, one thing is I make sure I'm going to an event that is of value. I'm not going to go to some, all right, I got something semi-funny, or something. I had a friend, he goes, hey Jay, if you want to go to this networking, he talks like this too. Hey Jay, if you want to go to this networking, he doesn't really talk like this, but I'm making fun of him. His name is, I can't say it, but he is an owner of a co-working place here. He goes, hey man, you want to go to this networking event? And I read it, and the line from the person who's putting it together is, hey, come to our networking event, bring a bag of cards. Bring a bag of cards. And I'm thinking, any place that says bring a bag of cards, I don't want to be there. Because I went to one of his networking events that he had at his co-working place. It was like, hey, here's my card. What can you do for me? What can you do for me? And I just wanted to go, and I didn't want to be rude, but I was like, So, my time is important. And I have a goal. I hope I have a destiny and a purpose and a vision. I know I have a purpose and a vision. And I don't want to waste my time. I don't have time to waste anymore with any of these networking meetings or any of the meetings that I go to. I want to be of high value.
Yeah.
And so what I tend to go to is entrepreneurial events where there are people who have a vision for their life. They're excited about what they're doing, and then invariably there's a synergy that happens. And so when I go to a networking event, what I do is I look around the room and look at people's faces and what kind of energy they're exuding. Do I want to meet them?
Yep.
I don't even know what they do. I don't know who they are. I don't care what sex or what race or whatever they are. If they have that energy, then I want to go say hi. And invariably, wonderful things happen. And my goal is not to get business. My goal is just to connect.
That's what the goal is supposed to be, though.
Is it? Okay.
Yes, because can you imagine you go to a networking event and a realtor comes up and says, hey, do you have a house you want to list? Do you want to buy something? I mean, that's not how it works.
Thank you.
So what you're doing, right.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, after I had that little debacle,
Okay.
The one thing I learned is I show up early. I'm the first person there because guess what happens? Everybody walks to you, as opposed to me walking into a room of people I don't know and looking around going, where am I going? But I also have a goal. My goal is to meet 3 amazing people. Not 10, not 100, just 3. And the reason you do 3 is because anyone can do 3. And when I find those 3 people, like you're saying, the energy or whatever, I actually walk up to them, I introduce myself, and I say, Jeff, I wanted to meet 3 amazing people, and you're one of them. I actually say that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
So the first thing you're thinking is, I wonder why she thinks I'm amazing. Because if you don't think they're amazing, don't say it. Okay? And then you come back with, I love the energy, or I love the way that you said this, or I heard you do this, or whatever. And so then it's a relationship that we can start. So maybe it's a coffee date, maybe it's a phone date, it doesn't matter, but it's only 3. When you go to a networking event and you are collecting cards, what happens to them? They sit on your desk, you do nothing with them. You cannot possibly.
Most of the time.
Yeah, and you can't possibly follow up on 100 people. So that's why I do 3. I just do 3.
What I find is I try to follow my intuition, whatever I feel is right, or even from a religious perspective, the Holy Spirit. And I will, if I connect with someone, I'm going to talk to them. I don't care how many people are here, something's happening here, I'm going to go with it.
Yep.
I don't try to rush off, I just enjoy it and see what happens. And if it's just that one person, I'm okay with it. And usually it ends up being 2 or 3 that are there, and I have a much greater time. I enjoy myself as well. And so my phone is saying something, I turned it off. Okay, it stopped saying it. But anyway, so I find that to be very helpful.
Yep.
And so, I think that's some great information you've given on having a business coach and a mentor and helping us to develop our vision, our purpose for our businesses, for our lives. In terms of focus, when you're having that vision and purpose, when you're going to networking meetings, going to other meetings, or trying to assemble a team, I think then you know who is the right person for you when you're trying to build a team, and whether it's hiring or freelancers that you use on a temporary basis or whatever.
Yeah, and you just have to realize that when somebody says to you, so tell me what you do, it's really nothing more than a sentence or 2, because they don't want to hear your entire bio. It doesn't work like that. And if they say to you, how can I support you? Because I always ask people, well, how do I support you? Who's your person? And when they say everyone, my mind shuts down.
Okay, right.
Because I can't do it. If you give me like parameters, and you can't say to me, I want companies that only do $500 million. I don't have their bank account. I don't care. Just tell me, is it an industry that you want? Or whatever it is, tell me how I can support you. Because if you can't tell me and I can't hear it, I can't help you. And chances are we're not going to do this again. Okay?
I'm sorry to interrupt you,
Go.
but someone really famous just dropped in to our audience. His name is Angel Rebo.
Angel, why are you not here.
He's going to be here tomorrow. We're gonna have some brainstorming. We're going to come up with amazing stuff. Bam! Angel, you're the reason why she
That's
and
right.
I met.
And I sent you a note this morning saying, where are you?
Yeah, so anyway, that's how things happen too. Isn't that interesting that when you have a vision and purpose, people start coming into your life?
That's right.
So I went and I spoke on a panel discussion at the Startup Week, and Angel was in the audience. And so then we connected, and he became part of what I'm doing. And also I did a big event, Tap Into Your Genius event, which is about how can we tap into our genius.
Right.
And he presented, was a performer there. And so anyway, because of that, you start getting in my feed on LinkedIn, and so I clicked like, and then I said hi to you, whatever, and so here we are. So that's how those things happen.
Yeah, and it happens like that more often than you think. Because some of the best relationships are from referrals. There's a perfect example of it.
Right,
You know?
right.
And I mean, Angel and I met in Costa Rica, only to find out he's in Plano.
Yeah.
He's in Plano, and I'm in South
Wow.
Lake. I'm like, really? We had to go all the way to Costa Rica for somebody to say, oh, he's right in your backyard.
Right, and so that's what I think when you start putting yourself out there and you start going towards your dreams and you start making mistakes and you don't care, and as Angel was talking about yesterday, you fail forward, and you know, we say that in entrepreneurial circles about fail fast. I don't know if I like the idea of fail fast, but I'm going to fail forward. And because if you're not afraid and you begin to make mistakes, you learn a hell of a lot more by doing and sitting on your butt and thinking about, I'm going to create the perfect business. I'm going to do the perfect thing. Nah.
Right.
I think that it seems like all success comes to you through action. You know what I mean? You say the Lean Start methodology. You create your MVP, your minimum viable product, and you put it out there and you start listening to customers and get feedback so you create what they want, what they hear. Let me ask you about that. You started reaching out, you started to see this focus of helping to empower women, but perhaps in your beginning stages you were learning a lot. What feedback did you get that really helped to shape your message to people that really was resonating with people?
Well, I started speaking, and just so you know, I mean, everybody's a work in progress. Nobody's ever finished. I started speaking, and one of the things I was talking about, people said, yeah, you know, that's okay. So I took it out, and I put something else in.
Right.
And, you know, and then I started asking questions about the audience. I would say, so am I missing something? Is there something that I need? Da, 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 da. And so people would start saying to me, you know, I'd like to hear more about this. And then a lot of the men would say, I'd like more statistics. And so I started putting this in and putting that in. And then I would start to do training. And I always ask at the end, is there anything else that we should include? And it's always a good idea to ask that, because somebody will say, you know, one of the things that I'm really struggling with is this. And if one person's struggling with it, then there's more than one. So I always ask for feedback. The only time I didn't ask for feedback was because the talk was the worst talk I've ever given in my entire life, because the meeting planner gave me all the wrong information, the wrong audience, the wrong message, everything. And when I walked into the room and saw that the audience was not the right audience, I had to tap dance a little bit. And I got the worst reviews.
How did this happen? How did this person brought you in give you such bad information?
I don't know, but when I was done, she said, that was awesome. I thought, were you in the same room as me? And I remember going home, and of course, very professionally, I started to cry and said, I'm never doing this again.
How do you professionally cry?
I was kidding.
Do you get paid for it? You get paid for crying.
I get paid for crying.
Go ahead.
And I said, I'm never doing this again. I'm never speaking again. And I had a speaking engagement the next day that I had to be at because I was the keynote, and it was awesome. But had I not had that, it's like when if you get into a car accident, you're never going to drive again because you're too afraid. I thought, oh my God, I am never going to do this again. No one's ever going to listen to me. I'm like an imposter. I can't do this, and blah, blah, blah. And it was great. But that was the worst thing. So if I would have asked them for feedback, they would have said, don't ever speak again. So I didn't ask for feedback.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. This is going through my mind. You did a bold move. You talked about earlier in the interview. And where you said, I'm quitting, and you're going to go to your business mentor coach, and you're going to fly to them. It doesn't matter, you didn't have a whole ton of money, and you just did it. And I have a friend of mine who's just was forced to quit her job. Okay, there were problems, internal problems with the company. And I was telling her a couple of weeks ago, you just need to quit. You need to spend one day in a toxic environment. Life is too short. You know, and life really is too short. I don't even want to use that cliche. How can I make it more powerful? I don't have time to waste to be around people who bring me down. And if you're toxic, I'm out. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm an entrepreneur. And so, could you address what made you decide that come hell or high water, you're going to do it? You didn't care what the consequences were.
Well, the interesting thing for me is that I had a lot of experience being a salesperson in the field. So when I came inside to the company, they loved that. So I thought. But a lot of people didn't love that. And so every day I would hear the little sniping towards me, blah, 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 blah. And I would say to my kids, I feel like I'm in the Mean Girls movie. Because because everybody was just so mean all the time. And after about a year, I thought, I'm just not sure if I could really do this any longer. And then I kept waiting and waiting and waiting. And then I was popping Excedrin, like 12 a day, which is really dangerous to do.
That can,
And I was really getting sick. And I remember thinking, there's got to be something better. There's got to be something different. There's got to be something that I could be doing.
There absolutely is.
But you have to also remember, I was single, my children were grown, and I was 55 years old, and I was female.
Yeah.
What the heck do you do in your brain when you have all of that, and you're thinking, so I'm going to jump ship.
Was this last week?
No, it was 2009.
Okay.
Yeah, but thank you for that.
No, seriously.
No.
Like, what the heck?
Yeah,
Really? Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
So when I finally made the decision to go, and they didn't want me to go, and they kept saying, you'll never get fired. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I have to fire myself. I can't do this. When you decide to make that, when you make that decision, and you resign from a company, you also give everything up. That's where your severance goes. That's where, everything. I'm living in a place where I knew no one. Because I traveled all the time, and I had to make this decision. And I thought, if I don't make the decision, someone's going to make it for me, and I'm going to be in a hospital bed. And that's all I kept thinking is, I'm going to be sick, and my kids are going to have to take care of me, and I can't do this to them. Forget about me, but I couldn't do to them. And so when I resigned, I remember like a couple of days later, I got out of bed and I thought there's something really weird going on because I didn't take Excedrin.
The next day?
No, it was maybe a week later or 2 weeks later.
Still.
And and then all of a sudden I started to feel like I'm normal. And somebody said to me that used to work in the same building, she said, your skin is so beautiful. I said, because I'm not with toxic people. And she was one of the toxic people. I didn't even realize it came out of my mouth.
Whoops.
But
Yeah.
but then you start to think about, I can do lots of different things, and I can make money. I can always make money. I may not have made the same amount that I earned there because I had a big salary there. But when you equate your life to money, your work, your life is not valuable. You have to equate your life to your core values. And my core values were being like questioned every day. And so it was this constant like this every single day, and I just couldn't do it. When I used to drive up to the buildings, I could feel like I started to hyperventilate and I started to sweat and my stomach started turning, and I thought, this is ridiculous. You don't get those hours back. You don't get those minutes back. And recently, like now, all of a sudden, we've lost a number of people in the last month, and some by natural causes and some chose to end their lives. And this is recent. And I keep thinking to myself, if I didn't have my children to get me out of a situation, I would never have thought I could think of even doing that. But I can understand that people just get to their wits' end and you're like, I can't do this anymore. So for me, I encourage people. Now, one thing I will tell you, my clients will say to me, I want to leave corporate and I want to go be an entrepreneur. The first thing I'll say to them is, are you leaving any money on the table? Because you earned that money. So if there's a bonus in 2 months, you stick around for 2 months and you take your bonus. It's your money. You earned it. But if there's nothing other than, constant agony and stress and everything else, let's jump ship and let's do it. And we'll put together a plan and I'll even strategize with you, and I'll get out the whiteboard if necessary. But, I help people, I support people because I've been there, done that.
I think there are many people who are in a bad situation and consider ending their lives.
Without question.
And it's because of what they're believing at that moment in time. Their feelings are very real, but the reality is not.
That's right.
And I think that because when you begin to believe and see outside of the box and all of the possibilities that are out there, and you know it, but also maybe you take that bold step and you begin to find that and find the right people, and then you begin to see that life is pretty amazing, and we can create really whatever we want.
Right.
Whatever we want.
And here's the other thing. There are people out there that are very well known and, very popular and everything else. All you really need to do is, what if you just reached out to them and said, I want to start a business. I'm scared to death. And what's the worst that's going to happen? They won't answer you. But the best that's going to happen is they will answer you and say, they'll probably say, I did that as well. Here's your first step. All you need is the first step.
Right.
You know, and sometimes it's picking up the phone. I spoke somewhere and, you know, we were talking about mentoring and everything, and this woman at the end said to me, would you mentor me? She said, you always tell people to ask. And I said, I will, but I can't mentor you until the beginning of the year because I have, you know, enough people and I don't want to not be able to be there for you. And she said, perfect. You know, and then there was a 17-year-old young woman that said to me, would you mentor me? You know, and so find somebody and ask them for help. You know, mentoring doesn't have to be a formal program. It's just two people that want to spend time together that can help each other. And you both learn as much from each other as you could possibly think.
Wow. Our like buttons are going crazy.
Yay!
Going crazy. We just got a heart. We got like multiple likes. I think that Angel's going wild over there.
Yeah.
Wait, somebody, it has their picture. It's Angel. He's the man behind the scenes, throwing the likes like crazy. A few other people too. But all right, let me ask you this: how can people reach you if they want you to come speak at their organization, or they perhaps want some coaching?
So you can reach me. I'm all over social media. It's either under Judy Hoberman or Selling in a Skirt. My email is judy@sellinginAskirt.com. So it's not hard to find me. I do a radio show every Monday. If you're connected with me, you'll see links about everything that I do.
I'll put a link on this too when we're done.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it really, honestly, connect with people. Just connect. Here's the other piece of it. You have to build relationships before you need them, because once you need them, a lot of times it's too late.
Yeah.
So if you start building relationships and you say, well, you know, I'm looking for a job or whatever, there's people around you that can support you.
Absolutely. All right, so Judy, thank you so much for being here today and really being a part of Tap Into Your Genius, where we talk about vision and purpose. It's so important, and I think that once you establish what is the vision for my life, for my business, whatever it might be, then you begin to develop a passion, and it pushes you past all the hurdles that you'll run into. And so September 1st, I'm launching the Tap Into Your Genius beta site, which is a membership site and course showing you step-by-step how to reach into and tap into the genius part of your brain. And I'll have experts from all over the world involved with that. One expert today is Judy. She's a gender expert.
I'm an expert.
How about empowering women? I like
Yeah.
that better for
Yeah,
me.
me too.
I
Me
like
too.
that phrase better. So, and you know, Angel Rebo, who's been a coach to over 1,500 CEOs and other people in brain science. So that's what it will be about. So if you'd like to become one of our first founding members, there'll be lots of benefits, a discount that's put in there for life, and the chance to talk to experts directly. Anyhow, so that's launching September 1st. I'll have a link very soon where you can subscribe. But Judy, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, and everybody, thank you for watching.
Thank you.
And we'll see you at the next one. Okay? All right, bye.